Welcome to Mixed Reactions, the best faceless podcast you've ever listened to. I am Casey Merritt. I am joined by my co-host Ian Blackwell and Justin Duncan. How is it going tonight, fellas?
I had one hell of a weekend. A lot of stuff in my personal life going in the right direction. But it's been pretty good, all things considered.
True blessings right there, my friend. What about you, Ian?
My cats just turned 1 the other day, so that was pretty special. I forgot to get him a Slim Jim. Was actually pretty excited about doing that. Kind of disappointed that I didn't, but I'm just excited. Not excited the football's over, but it's kind of transitioning into a new time of year. I feel like this is a time of year where everybody starts acting like they give a shit about college basketball, and I'm not gonna lie, man. This is the least I've ever watched college basketball. It's just so diluted, but it's basketball season. Shohei took his first at bat in Dodger blue. I think it was today or yesterday. That broke my heart. And we're gonna get into a lot of hoops. What we got first on tap today?
Well, first on tap, give the cat a birthday boop.
I did not. No, I can't believe that I forgot that. I will definitely make sure that. Matter of fact, you go ahead. You guys can talk some hoops. I'm gonna go boop my cat.
Give the cat a boop. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie, because one of the cats is like, one's a boy and then the mom's a girl and the other kitten's a girl. Well, I mean, they're not kittens; they're like a year old now, and I'm
You have
constantly
3 cats?
3 cats, and I'm a single male. I don't really know what the fuck I'm really doing at
He's
this.
one big bag of cats. What else is new?
My.
Man, it's
wow.
rough.
All right. So let's kick it off here. Obviously, we're going to be very basketball centric tonight. So for all you hoops fans, this is going to be the show for you. I guess the best place that we should lead off with is we have a few teams right now that are sitting in the play-in tournament, a couple games out of the play-in tournament. What team that's sitting in the play-in / almost out of the play-in tournament, out of the East or the West, do y'all feel has the best chance to make some noise?
Well, let me take a look at the standings real quick so I can, because I was looking at it earlier and I thought I had a team in mind before tonight. Before we got started tonight. Let me just double check that, because there's been some movement and kind of shifting in the play-in bubble, as it were.
While you're doing that, I want to throw out an interesting stat that I saw. Did you guys know there's a bigger gap between the Celtics and the second place team in the East than there is between Minnesota and the 8th place team in the West?
Yeah, Celtics are about like 5 games in the East right now. I've got my teams from the West.
They're up by 7.5 as of tonight.
Yeah, Celtics have got the East. But while Justin's digging that up real quick, I've got my teams at least from the West, and then I'll go to the East myself here in a second, because like you said, we're going to be really basketball centric while he's looking up the standings. From the West, a team that I'm going to give a team that I really don't think is going to be shit, and then a team that's really going to come through. I'm not really sure if I believe in the Suns at the moment. Before the season, I was a really big believer in the Suns. Obviously, they're getting Bradley Beal, Grayson Allen shooting 42% this year. But I just don't. They're not a great rebounding team. And I think they turn the ball over a lot, and a time's going to come to where they do play a good rebounding team, and they don't shoot a lot of shots compared to. You would think that with the talent they have, their offensive ranks would be a lot higher.
Okay.
A lot of people can look at it, and you have, Gordon is right up there nearing 40%. I believe he's at 36 right now. Either Booker or Durant, one of them. I think it's Durant's at 42%. But I just don't see when they play a team like Dallas, which that's actually the team that I think is going to make some noise. They just acquired Daniel Gafford on February 9th. So
big pickup.
Yeah, I think that's a great pickup. When I watched them play the Wizards earlier this year, I remember looking at Daniel Gafford on the Wizards, and it's like, if because the Mavericks, Lively has had his moments this year, but having a guy like Gafford, who I think is a force inside. I mean, he got 15, he got 5 blocks the other night, in his second game with Dallas. So I think having a guy like that, you already have Luka and Kyrie, who are shooting crazy from 3. Kyrie, you know what I mean? They're good at not turning the ball over. Just going through just a couple of things that I wrote down here. I mean, Kyrie's shooting 42% from three. And you have Tim Hardaway's kind of nearing the 40-point mark, somewhere around there. And then now you have Gafford inside. And I mean, they've won the rebounding battle in 3 of the 5 games that he's been back, and they've dominated it in some. So I think that that's kind of what they needed. And I mean, honestly, and another big thing too about Dallas is I have faith in Hardaway. I think that he's going to get some open shots just with the space that Luka and Kyrie create. So I think Dallas has a big shot to be a dark horse.
Okay, so
no, that's fair.
I got our standings here. So I think we should kind of touch. I think we should start like with the Eastern Conference. I mean, teams 5 through 10, because in the top 4 you got Boston, Cleveland, Milwaukee, and the Knicks. I mean, who'd have thought the Knicks would be relevant again? But they're good. I mean, Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, when they're actually when they're balling, they're balling. You can't fault them for that. They got lucky last night on a really crap call, or non-call, I should say, against Detroit. But what do you guys say we do, like a contender or pretender with these 5 through 10 teams? We'll start with the Eastern Conference. We'll start from the bottom, going our way up. We got Atlanta, who is in the 10th seed, 20 games back of first, obviously, so we're not even going to talk about that. But there's 7 games removed from 6th place. Contender or pretender, or just forget the noise, they're just not going nowhere.
See, when it comes to Atlanta, and especially, I think the pretender and contender match, like dilute, is going to be more of a pretentious conversation when we're talking about the West. When we're talking about the East, and we're looking at teams like the Pacers, the Magic, and the Bulls, who are 7, 8, 9, I don't think anybody really truly believes that they have contender potential. But does that make them pretenders? I would say no, because in my opinion, what a pretender is a team with a very solid regular season record that has a great chance of actually making the playoffs, but will fold in the playoffs. I don't think
they don't have what it takes. That's what
exactly. Yeah, no, that's exactly right, Ian. So say if everything stands exactly the way that it is, right? Magic round, which is looking like what it probably could end up being, of course, because the Magic are the 8 seed. Say if Orlando takes even a game or 2 from Boston, which is a possibility. They've beaten Boston already this season. So if they take Boston to 5 or 6, would anyone really label the Magic, oh, they were pretenders the whole season? No, they'd say they're a young team that has potential. So I'm not sure if the pretender contender is a true form for the Eastern, because it's so top heavy with the first 3 seeds. I think the only teams that are truly have finals contender written on them in the East is Boston and Milwaukee. Even with Cleveland sitting at that 2 seed, I don't believe they have a finals berth ahead of them by any stretch. I could see Cleveland getting bounced in the second round.
You know, you wouldn't think about this going into the season, but I see Philly collapsing, and I mean collapsing horribly into the play-in. I can honestly, because the distance between Orlando at the 8th seed and, quite honestly, New York, the Knicks at the 4, is only 3 games.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree, Justin. I think Philly could absolutely collapse, especially where who knows when Embiid's coming back.
If he's coming back, for that matter.
I don't think he is.
If Embiid does not come back this season, Philly could easily slide to that play-in and be out. Which, with that point being said, would you really label Philadelphia as a pretender if they're missing their best player? Again, I'd lean towards no. I think Philly would collapse regardless, even if Embiid was healthy. It's just what they do. I think they're front runners. I don't think the Sixers, with this roster as currently constructed, is good enough to win a title, even with a fully healthy Embiid. But that's a story for another day, and that's no knock against Joel Embiid. He's a top 3 player in the world.
And they did try to revamp, knowing that Embiid was out, picking up Buddy Hield, but he's not any Embiid by any stretch of the imagination.
Absolutely not.
But I agree. I think Philly is due to collapse. I think they could fall as far as 9th, honestly. They would be a 1 and out in the plan, I think, honestly.
But let's shift focus to the West, because out West, let's go 5 through 10. there's only a 5-game difference between the 5 seed and the 10 seed. And with the 5, obviously we got the Suns,
So,
Pelicans,
4-game
Kings, Mavericks,
4-game
Lakers, and 4 game. My apologies. It's the Suns, the Pelicans, the Kings, the Mavericks, the Lakers, and the Warriors. It's a tough road in the West. And as good as Minnesota has looked in the regular season, how shocked would you be if they matched up with the 8th seeded Lakers? Would you be totally shocked to see the Lakers take them out in 6? I wouldn't.
I don't think the Lakers could take him out, honestly, with the way they've been playing.
Well, I mean, the Lakers haven't looked all too bad as of late. I mean, yeah, they lost to Phoenix on Sunday, but you know they're 7-3 over their last 10.
Yeah, but I don't trust them in a 7-game series. I mean, with an aging LeBron, not taking anything away from him, but I don't think the supporting cast is enough to get them through a 7-game series.
I think Minnesota needs to get more love too. That's another thing I think.
I honestly don't think even because I mean, as it stands right now, the Lakers would have to win 2 games to get out of the play-in.
Mm-hmm.
As it stands right now.
Yeah, the way that it's looking right now, we're probably going to get a Lakers Warriors play-in.
Ooh. Do you guys feel like it's a changing of the guard in the West? Really?
To who, though?
I don't think there's a dominant team in the West that's going to be worthy of the title changing of the guard, because obviously for so long it's been the Warriors, right? Since 2015, it's been the Warriors have dominated the West. I don't think there's a team that's going to have a Warriors type run in the West at the moment.
Oh, no. But we're watching the Warriors, and they're slowly just dying, and it's kind of sad to watch. It's kind of like watching the Patriots die, as they have done over the last 4 years.
Let's be clear when we say that with the Warriors are dying, it is absolutely 0% the fault of Steph Curry.
Negative. Anything negative. No way near is it on Steph by any stretch of the imagination. No.
That roster is not constructed to win. We have to be honest. We have to be real. Klay Thompson is a shell of himself. Draymond Green is a shell of himself. Some of their draft picks haven't worked out too well. Oh my God, Jordan Poole.
He's garbage.
He had some good moments in Golden State, but that bag that he got from Washington was totally uncalled for. Yep. That was one of the biggest wastes of money, and that's why the Washington Wizards are who they are. So we don't have to dive too much into them because they're not even worth talking about. Let me ask you guys this. It's kind of an off-the-wall question here, and it's just kind of because of the way that these two superstars in the next 4 to 5 years. If LeBron goes to Golden State next year, would that turn the fences in the West? Would that team up of LeBron, Curry, and say Klay Thompson stays? Do you think that would be enough to get him over the hump in the West?
You kind of broke up for the question. You're asking if LeBron had actually gone to Golden State?
Yeah, in a sense, like say those two do end up teaming up. We'll just go to next season. Do you think it's going to have a big impact on the Warriors, or do you still feel like they would be roughly around where they are right now?
They're still a shell of themselves, even with LeBron. It's just not enough. You can't win a championship with two people.
Which shows, if you're looking at it right now, look at LeBron and AD in Los Angeles. They're both performing at extremely high levels still. Anthony Davis has his off nights, sure, but nobody that watches basketball is going to tell you Anthony Davis's A game isn't top 7 in the world.
It's true.
But the Lakers they're not beating Minnesota.
I think they could. I think Minnesota's too young.
No, they're
I
not.
think
I mean,
Minnesota's
well,
too young.
I'm never gonna be shocked if a LeBron-led team beats anybody, honestly, including those Warrior teams. But they have the #1 scoring defense. They have the #1 defensive field goal percentage. They're gonna, I think, beat. I mean, as a Clippers fan, that's the only team that scares me. Like they are good, especially now that they have Conley. Watch out for the Timberwolves. I'm calling it
I
now.
don't understand
Gobert's
how
day to
you
day
can
right
sit
now.
there and say that that's the only team that scares you when the Nuggets are in your conference and above you in the standings.
Timberwolves are
They're
gonna
like
beat
the
the Nuggets
silent
in
killers
6.
of that conference. Seriously.
Timberwolves are gonna beat the Nuggets if they play.
No, they wouldn't.
No, they won.
With Hope Court, Timberwolves are wooded.
No, Nuggets in 5, Ian.
What? 5?
Nuggets in 5 over Minnesota. Easy.
I don't call it sweet. They're that much more talented.
I think Minnesota would win game 3. Or no, I'm sorry, game 2 at home. Denver would take game 1. Minnesota would take game 2. Denver would take care of the rest.
I mean, I'm not saying it would be easy for Minnesota, but I think they match up well with them. Denver's not going to be able to get. Gordon's not going to be as effective as he normally is. Jokic is still going to get his, but I think that they're going to just shut down the rim. And I'm sure they'll win a couple of games with Porter Jr. or Murray making some shots, or Jokic, or any of those other guys, Reggie Jackson. But I think in a 7-game series, Minnesota's just built to wear down Denver.
Minnesota is built to withstand the Clippers and the
Thunder.
Thank you. But they're not equipped to withstand the Nuggets. They just don't have enough. Casey's absolutely right. They're too young. They do not have the playoff experience, the playoff acumen to run the Nuggets out of town in a 7-game stretch. The Nuggets, I think they could challenge the Nuggets for maybe a game, probably maybe 2, but not in a 7-game stretch. No.
And Ian, trust me, I understand what you're saying, because what Justin and I are saying, basically, it's a lot of anecdotal talk, right? Because we're talking about, they don't have the experience. They're not old enough. They haven't been in enough playoff games. When you truly break it down, you would think none of that matters because they're just out there playing basketball. But it matters for some reason. Players
does.
Backs get tight, palms get sweaty, man. It does.
I mean, Conley has a lot of experience too. I mean, they don't have nearly as much as Denver, but I mean, Anthony Edwards is his second playoff series. Karl Anthony Towns, I think this is his third. I think this is his and Edwards' third. I mean, they don't have as much experience as the Nuggets. Kyle Anderson's been in quite a few.
Okay. Let me ask you this, Ian. Let me ask you this really quick. Right now, the Mavericks are sitting at the 8th seed. You were just hyping up the Mavericks a second ago. What do you think would happen in a 7-game series with Minnesota and Dallas?
I think Dallas might. No, Dallas
might
put up a little fight, especially with that backcourt and the fact that they do have Gafford inside now, and then Hardaway's going to be a threat. But I'd still say Minnesota, especially with home court. I say Minnesota in a tough 6, but I still say Minnesota. As of now, I mean, things can change.
And then I know they're struggling, guys. Trust me, I know they're struggling. But are we ever going to rule out a Warriors team too? All it takes for Golden State to win a series is for 2 guys to get hot, Steph and Clay. If them 2 get hot and can shoot collectively 65, not 65, Jesus Christ, 45% from the 3 collectively.
I don't trust them for their consistency. It's not Steph's consistency, it's Clay's.
Because let's be real, Steph alone is going to win the Warriors the game in the playoffs if they get there. Mm-hmm. He's going to drop 50 in one of the games, and he's going to be the reason alone they win one of the games. Anybody disagree with that?
No. But I don't. I do. I'm writing off the Warriors for the season in terms of making a deep run.
Yeah,
I can't write off the Warriors.
It's like the Chiefs, I guess, with you.
It's kind of not to that extent. Not to that extent where, not to that extent, Ian. Sort of. It's sort of like that. Because especially it's a 7-game series, so Steph can't win every game by himself. So somebody else has to step up, right? So with that being said, though, I can't write them off completely. I'm not saying I would favor them over a team like Minnesota. Or, guys,
No, I get you. I get you.
this is a hot take. This is a hot take. I don't trust OKC.
That's not really a hot take. I don't really trust them either because they're completely untested.
I think OKC could easily lose to the Kings as a 2-7 matchup. I think the Kings honestly could quite honestly take that in 6.
Do you honestly think Domantas Sabonis is going to drop 30 a night though? I don't see that happening.
Maybe not, but I don't think he needs to
get past OKC. Probably.
Well, they're so inexperienced that it's to the point where it's like, okay, Denver might beat. They're good enough to where if somebody doesn't give them their A game, they're so talented and they're so athletic that they can win in 5. But they also come to the point where they're not. I don't think it's going to be. I mean, they're going to have home court. Who knows? But it's going to be tough for them to win a 7-game series against one of these more seasoned teams.
Sacramento is my feel-good team coming out of the West. That kind of field.
They're like 7th, ain't they? Let me see.
I think they're 6th or 7th. Yeah.
7.
No, Sacramento, they're 7.
7. Okay. But I mean, they're my feel-good team. But I don't see them making a run against the top 4 in the West. No.
Ian, I'm telling you right now, I guarantee if the Lakers match up with the Timberwolves in the 1-8 seed, they're going to beat them.
I mean, it's Anthony Davis, it's LeBron James. Like, it could happen, but I don't. I think the Timberwolves are going to wear them down, and I don't think the Lakers are coming back from 2-0. I mean, it's not the craziest thing in the world, but now I wanted to say something about Golden State because I know I was saying, I guess we can write off the Warriors. I mean, thinking about it, man, it's a hard, like Casey was saying, it's a really hard team to write off. I mean, when you look at when we were talking about how little experience, Justin was saying regarding the Thunder, you talk about the most experienced team in the NBA. When you have Steph with 4 championships, you have Draymond with 4 championships, you have Clay with 4 championships, you have Steve Kerr with 4 championships, and then now you bring guys in like Pozinski, who they always pronounce the name, I always forget how to say it, the little white dude, and then you have Trace Jackson Davis, you have Saric in there now. Like, there's a few other elements that you're going to need to work in there, and they don't look the same as the team that beat Boston back in 2022. But it's hard to write off Golden State.
It's the same argument as everyone had with Brady and Belichick in the playoffs. Do you write the Patriots off with Brady and Belichick in the playoffs at home? No.
And we did it. I did it a couple of times and felt stupid.
But again, eventually everything comes to an end, and I think this is the year that it comes to an end.
I don't know, man. I mean, because you think about it right now, Golden State's sitting in the 10 seed. I mean, if you look about it, they are Lakers have played 59 games, they play 56. So they've played a couple of less games than the Lakers. I mean, but they could very well finish in that 10 seed. Like, if things kind of just steady.
I see Draymond retiring, and I think Clay might hang him up too at the rate they're going at the end of the year.
See, both of those are possible, but both of those, you got to think, could honestly end up working out as pluses for the Warriors next season, because Curry ain't going nowhere. Steph is still easily a top.
Going nowhere.
No, absolutely not.
Looney ain't going nowhere.
Steph is still a top 7 player probably right now. You gotta have to say.
Yeah, top 7. I'd say.
And I mean, let's not kid ourselves. He's still by far the best shooter in basketball. You put some extra players around Steph, I think Golden State could easily revamp next year, especially if Clay and Draymond leave. They could definitely have a revamp season next year if they bring in the right players.
And another thing about Draymond,
you got to bring the right players in.
Yes, absolutely.
Another thing about Draymond too is the unnecessary suspensions. When you're getting, we could joke all day about the triple single, all that, but when you're getting taken off of the court and kicked out of games, it might just be a different time to move on, because when, the best ability is availability. And when he's constantly getting kicked out of games, punching guys, choking guys from behind, they might just need to go. And it, like Casey was saying, it could just work out in their favor. Like, they could get some quality players who, can help fill some of their weaknesses. And a lot of the weaknesses, Draymond just isn't there a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's suspension at fault of his own.
Absolutely. And let's be real, Draymond Green is not anywhere near the offensive player he used to be either. Granted, still
it's an attraction at this point.
Absolutely. He's still a good defender, still a very good passer. Very, very good passer. And still, I would say the
He hasn't reached Udonis Haslam status in terms of just being a bench warmer morale guy.
Like a joke, right?
Right. Well,
I wouldn't say he's not that far by any means.
No, but he's not been relegated to morale guy.
No, because his defense is still good enough to keep him in a starting rotation for a lot of teams.
Mm-hmm.
And his IQ is so high too. Like I think
absolutely.
He does have a place on a lot of different teams. And I think that a lot of teams to have like, I mean, especially you talk about young teams. I mean, you think about Oklahoma City, if Draymond can stay on the court and not hurt his team by getting, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, it keeps cutting out for me.
Yeah.
Not hurt his team by getting kicked out of the game. They would love to have it, but Golden State would definitely benefit. I mean, you look at Pozinski; he's been getting better all as the season's gone along. And then Looney, he's solid. He's always going to be there. And then you have Clay and Steph and Wiggins. Like you have all these guys to where you have. I mean, even Steph is. I mean, well, shit, he was balling at Davidson when I was in 8th grade. So Steph is what, like fucking 33 probably at this point. You still have a few more good years of Steph and probably a few good years of Clay. Like there's been a few times here to shot really well. So you have the building blocks in place.
The biggest fault for Steph when he was at Davidson is that he wasn't on the dive team.
Yeah, no, Davidson diving. If you guys don't know, that's just we're just fans.
Anyway, I had to throw that out there. Anyways,
gotta call me off guard. Get fucking serious.
But as far as the top echelon teams in the West, I feel weird that I almost like the 7 and 8 seeds better than I do the 1st and 2nd seeds in the West right now. I've never felt like that before.
You really don't like Minnesota.
Really? I don't.
I mean, Sacramento, Keegan Murray kind of been on and off. I mean, they have a good team over there, and Sabonis is going to get matchup problems. But Minnesota will stifle you. Like you can't score. I mean, Gobert, especially earlier this year, he was playing at that level. He's day to day right now, but.
And this is I'm not. God, this is going to sound blasphemous, and I apologize to all Mixed Reactions fans out there. I'm not fully sold on Ant.
I'm sold on him.
I'm not there yet. I'm Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, no.
I'm not there yet with him. I think he's a very talented player. He's going to put up great numbers in the regular season. I don't know if I like his game enough where I think he can be the best player on a championship team.
No, I don't think right now. But I mean, I think he's a pretty good young player, averaging 25 and 25.
He's got potential, but he's not there yet.
But Ian, my point on Minnesota is he's their best player. And I
understand.
I don't think he's that dude yet.
What you're saying is they go as he goes, essentially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's my whole hesitancy when it comes to Minnesota. I don't think he's there yet. And I think in a 7-game series, especially if they had to play the Lakers against players who have been there and done it time and time again, like a LeBron, like an Anthony Davis, I'm not saying the moment is going to be too big for him. I just don't know if he's going to be able to overcome what's in front of him.
Yeah, I think another thing too. I mean, granted, in this day and age, there's tons of guys who can space out and shoot the ball. I mean, when you look at Karl Anthony Towns, he's shooting 43% on 5 attempts this year. I get it. They are gonna go as he goes, but I think that Minnesota has built a solid team to where, I mean, I'm not saying that, he can't have an off night every night. They're going to lose the series, but I think there are going to be some nights where guys can pick up slack. And then you look at how, Ant's averaging 26, 5 and 5. This is like, he's going to get his a couple of games. I think they're built pretty well. I wouldn't be shocked if, they lost, but I mean, when you have Towns and you have that defense that Gobert plays, like it's just going to be when you have like your Warriors teams, like, I can see them upsetting them, but I think Minnesota is going to put their foot on some people, at least in the early rounds. Whatever happens later, we'll see, game by game how it goes. But I think in the early rounds, they're going to, at least, especially being at home, if they were like the 5 seed, regardless of where they rank as far as if they had to go on the road the first round, then maybe not. But I think they'll win a series or two.
I know we've been talking mostly about the top 5 in the West, but there was something that happened the other night that we can't ignore, Casey and myself as Celtics fans. The Celtics did not just chuck threes out of their ass the entire night. They actually drove to the hole against the Knicks.
They did. They did. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Inside the arc.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. Yeah, it was. Because if you take a look at that game, I don't want to say it was a tale of two halves, but because it was a very close game. So it's not like the Knicks blew them out in the first half and the Celtics blew them out in the second half. But it's almost like the Celtics kicked it into high gear in that third quarter. And then
there's levels to this shit.
Absolutely is. And then they just blew the doors off them after that. And it was...
But they drove to the hole. Which is what you and I have been screaming at for the last 3 playoff years. Drive the freaking ball. And they did. And it worked.
It did. It worked out beautifully, too.
I think Boston, if Minnesota does make it to the finals, I know I've been kind of dick riding them the whole show. I think Boston matches up really good against Minnesota. Boston, number 4 in defending the 3 in the league. They're number 2 is shooting the 3, and they're number 2 in defensive field goal percentage. And then on top of that, like you were saying, when they do drive to the bat, like last year when I was watching them, man, like it just became to the point where I was like, if they could do that, all that they were front runners. Like we've had this discussion before, but with Porzingis being in there, Derek White going from, his last few years have gone on from a liability to a good point guard. Like it's theirs to lose this year. I'll just say it like that with the Celtics. It's theirs to lose.
Absolutely. I mean, it is. But again, we were just talking about, is the stage too big for them? Can they live up to expectations? Can they live up to what their potential? Casey, you and I have been saying it, and you've been saying more vocally than I have, but this is the time where Jason Tatum needs to say, okay, when he did that sit-down interview, I don't remember who it was with, Ramona Shelburne or somebody else, and it says, I'm the best player in the NBA. Freaking show it now.
And I love Jason Tatum, but let's be real, he's not the best player in the NBA.
No, he's not.
But you should think like that, but like be a dog about it. Like don't he had that game against Philly where they almost got eliminated in the fourth quarter. It's just a different guy showed up.
Absolutely.
I mean, but that's the thing about shooters, man. Like we can sit here and talk about a guy had a bad game. Sometimes the shots just don't go in. But I'd rather, like, if I'm a Celtics fan, I'd rather lose a game and be like, Tatum he did his best. He was aggressive. The shots just weren't falling. Then, he's making questionable decisions or not shooting when he should. Like, give me the ball. Same thing with LeBron. Like, give me the ball. If we lose, we lose. But give me the ball. Get the fuck out the way. That's how I feel about Tatum. I feel like as far as isolation scores, he doesn't remind me of Melo. I don't even want to get into comparisons, but he could score on anybody. Like, there's nobody in the league that he can't score on whenever he wants with Tatum. And he's a way better passer than he was when he first came in the league, too.
Much better.
Much, much better.
It's
just one of those things. It's one of those things. Like I mean, we're getting down towards the last 2.5, 14, 15 games of the season, and it's just like, when are you going to show what's it going to be? Are we going to continue to see the same old, or are we going to see them take that next step forward that they're completely capable of taking?
Yeah, and not to I mean, it was a huge thing, but it's about 25 games. That's like 57 have been played, so they can.
I thought it was closer. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, what I was gonna say is they can extend their lead. I mean, shit, Cleveland has made huge progress. Like that's a team to. But what I was gonna say is they can extend their lead. Like we still got 25 more games left. They have to play Phoenix here in a couple of days. I think it's on the 9th. But yeah, no, Boston, bro, they're good. Like as a friend of you guys, like I know it's nerve wracking because like
Yeah, it really
that
is.
there's
Though.
no
last
reason.
3 years.
Well, so is this the closing of the window?
Yes,
It needs
1000%. Yes,
it is. They set themselves up for it to happen this year and only this year, realistically, because they devoted a stupid amount of money for Jaylen Brown. Honestly,
Yeah.
And I don't know how long they have Holiday and Porzingis under contract, but they're gonna have next year. They're gonna have to pay Jason Tatum next
Yeah,
offseason.
they are.
And then that's gonna send everything into a tailspin.
It really will. So, boys, I know I'm not sure if you guys remember this last week. Obviously, as where the NFL season is over, our pick segment is going to alter a little bit. I talked with you guys last week. I'm not sure.
Yes, sir.
So, what we're going to do real quick here, I'm going to give you a list of 5 NBA games over the course of the next week, and we're going to go through those 5 games, and we're going to pick them. How's that sound, boys? You ready?
I like that. Let's go.
I have one question. I mean, I know it might not be the same, but like, let's get some excitement. It's basketball season.
You already know, Mr. Blackwell. You already know. So, the first game on the agenda is we have the Los Angeles Lakers. And they are matching up against the Los Angeles Clippers. Ian's Los Angeles Clippers.
With the new logo, by the way. Who have a new logo? If you saw that.
And Mixed Reactions fans, they're not as close to his heart as Ian's Las Vegas Raiders are, but it's still but still, it's a matchup nonetheless, fellas. Lakers, Clippers, tomorrow, 10 p.m. Go.
Clippers by 7.
I got the Lakers by 12.
Ooh.
Clippers by 3.
Clippers by 3. All right. Now, Ian, what makes you say Clippers? Besides your fandom, I want to know why.
Sorry, who do both of you guys have?
He has the Clippers, I have the Lakers.
Oh, now I see why I got demoted. Okay, for sure. All right. You said why do I have the Clippers? You have the Lakers,
yeah.
And we both have the Clippers. I just like the way that we match up against them. I think the game the other night against the Kings where we got absolutely mollywopped. I think it was a wake-up call. Like, I mean, you look at Kawhi Leonard, he's played over 50 games this year. Like, what their picks gonna start flying? Like, is Tupac coming back? Like, what's going on here? I don't know, man. It's gonna be one of those years to where I might just bet on the Clippers some regular season games and lose some money because I really just am gonna have a hard time betting against them.
Okay.
I mean, just look at all the different weapons we have. We have Westbrook. Granted, Amir Coffey hasn't been playing as good as he was since or prior to the All-Star break. He hasn't been playing as well since. But I just like I like our chances, and I just like the chance that we have to score. To be completely honest with you, I think that our offense, Paul George didn't play as well as he could last week, but I just like the Clippers. It's a regular season, man. It's gonna be one of those things to where 5 minutes into the game, one team might have momentum, their shots are falling, put her to bed early. It could go either way.
Absolutely, that could definitely go that way. So we're gonna move on to Friday. It's kind of a big jump from Wednesday to Friday. We're not gonna discuss any games on Thursday. We have Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic in a return to the Garden for Kyrie to face off the Boston Celtics, who are currently have the best record in the NBA. And myself personally in this game, fellas, I'm rolling with the Boston Celtics.
By how much?
Celtics by 20.
I'm gonna say Celtics by 14.
You know, since it is basketball, we'll switch it up. I'll record how much we say they're gonna win by. Actually, we want to do final score or winning margin?
We'll go winning margin.
Okay. Casey said Lakers by how much?
12.
Justin said Clippers by how much?
7.
7, and then I accidentally put myself for Lakers. That was wrong. 3. Okay, and then you said you have the Celtics by how much?
20.
I have them by 14.
I've got them by 11.
Celtics by 11. All right. So with that being said, we're going to jump to Saturday, and we're going to go to the Saturday Night Fever game. The Houston Rockets heading into Phoenix to take on Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. I am going to go with Phoenix by 6.
I think Phoenix by 11.
It's very hard for me to bet against Kevin Durant and those guys, but I'm gonna do it. I mean, you look at Houston right now; they're 4 games about. Well, I mean, Golden State's play like a game less, but they're about 4 games out, 3.5, 4.5 games out from Golden State for the 10 seed. And they're one of those scrappy teams. I mean, they're going in. I think they're going into Phoenix. I was just looking at it myself. They're going into Phoenix, right? Yeah, no, I just like that they could defend the 3. They have Sengun, and I think that if Phoenix is gonna have a long, I think Houston's gonna put up points. I've got Houston. I got Houston by 5.
Here's my 5. So the next 2 matchups, again, since it is only going 5 games, guys, we're kind of gonna centralize around our teams a little bit more for these pick segments. But this one is actually, I'm really, really, really freaking interested to hear Ian's answer. We have Ian's Los Angeles Clippers heading into Minnesota to play the number 1 seeded Timberwolves Sunday at 3:30.
Oh, man.
Ian, go.
Timberwolves
Timberwolves by
10.
Timberwolves by 10. I'm going the Clippers by 9.
I'm going to go the Clippers by 3. I think
by
we
3.
close.
And then for our final game, we have another game in the Garden, where we have a rematch of the 2022 NBA Finals. We have Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson heading back to where they did business against our Boston Celtics. Sunday at 3:30 p.m. I believe this game will be on ABC. I am going to roll with Boston by... I'm going to say Boston by 15.
Boston by 12.
Boston by 34.
God damn!
I just think they're going to beat the shit out of them, bro.
I said, God damn.
Well, folks,
if they win by
have
34, I better get a mulligan for my Georgia and Alabama losing on the same day.
Ian, if they beat him by 34, I'm personally going to send you a Paul Pierce jersey.
For sure, yeah. Oh, I like it. That was very original.
You see why? Because he was number 34?
Yeah.
Get it? Yes. Okay. Jesus, guys, catch up. No, I'm just kidding. Well, there you have it, folks. That was our first pick segment for the NBA. I don't think it wasn't as smooth yet as our NFL pick segment, but we'll get there, guys.
I was hopping between days and shit. I'm like, what fucking day is this? Like,
oh, man.
Well, we spent a good 40 minutes talking NBA. There's something that I want to dive into here. And Justin, I know, buddy, and it's not looking good right now. Yes, we're still in great spot for the 3rd seed. Yes, they looked great on Friday. But Justin, I'm going to ask you a certain question here, my friend, and I want you to answer it bluntly and honestly. What the fuck happened on Saturday?
Northeastern has Denmar's number. Honestly, Northeastern has had his number. In the last 4 or 5 years, Maine is 1-6 against Northeastern.
It's
been awful. It was god awful to watch.
Last week, you and I sitting here, right? We said, Friday versus New Hampshire was the worst performance of the season. Nah, not no more. No more. It's not.
No, not so much.
No. It took a mere 8 days for them to top their worst performance of the season. Great job, Maine.
Yeah.
It's like I was saying before the show started, it was the weirdest 4-0 game I've ever seen.
Because they got outshot, like you said. Like
Maine
it looked
outshot
like
him by almost 25 shots.
Whitehead stood on his head the entire game.
He was phenomenal. Let's not take credit away from Northeastern. Whitehead was absolutely superb.
He got his head handed to him on Friday, and then
bounced back like a good athlete does.
Exactly. Was he drafted by chance? Do you know?
That I don't know off the top of my head.
Cameron Whitehead for Northeastern.
Got you. I'm on it. Before Northeastern played 2 seasons with the Lincoln Stars. NHL Vegas Golden Knights 2022 round 4 pick 128.
Okay, well there you go. There you go.
So, with that being said, if they don't absolutely mollywop Vermont this weekend, and I mean both games, annihilate them, I am not going to be a happy camper.
No, I may consider going to the first UMass game with a paper bag in my pocket.
Oh, that's not that bad.
No, it's not. We're being over eccentric, but
you're nationally ranked. You're not Alabama. You don't get to be
there was something that I put in our group chat, and it's something that we really need to be kind of keep in perspective. No one, and I mean nobody, expected Maine to be even remotely relevant. Not even close.
No, that's true.
Yeah, but I get your frustration as fans because regardless of whether people expected them or didn't expect them to do a lot, you see how good they are, you see them pissing it away. So I can understand as a fan, it's frustrating for sure.
It's almost even more so frustrating because it's one of two things, and they're both equally as frustrating. Last week, Justin and I don't remember which one of us said this. Maybe they overachieved throughout the first course of this stretch of the season, or maybe they're underachieving now. And I don't know which one is more frustrating. I really don't.
It's hard to say. I mean, in game 1 against Northeastern, both Bradley Nadeau and Lyndon Breen got their first goals in over a month.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 2 months almost. Lyndon Breen hadn't scored since December.
They've lost 4 or 5.
At Dartmouth.
Have they really?
Yeah, 3 or 4. My apologies, 3 or 4. They've lost 3 or 4.
But it's one of those things where they're generally hiding themselves into a hole that they're going to not be able to get themselves out of. I mean, when it comes to the tournament, the NCAAs, I think they're almost a lock. They're not completely, but they're close to it. I mean, they have to sweep this weekend. Otherwise, then you got to question whether they're going to stay in the top 15. Because if they don't stay in the top 15, they're not making it.
And the thing is, sure, that's great that they're probably still a lock. That's fine.
That's great. But
at this rate, Justin, it's going to be a one and done.
Which, again, considering their youth, because they are a very, very young team, I'm not going to be upset in a sense because of going into your expectations, but I'll be disappointed because of the potential that they could have had.
And that's where I'm on, Justin. It would be extremely disappointed.
It would not be a failure of a year by any stretch.
No, it's not. Because they're not at that standard. They're not at that standard where they have to make noise in the NCAA tournament for it to be considered not a failure. So I agree, but it's a letdown still. It's not a failure, but it's a letdown.
A letdown because you saw the flashes of what could be.
Absolutely. And Ian, obviously you're coming like basically from an outside perspective, but over the past few years, you've grown yourself into a Maine fan, which is great, and we love to see it. But as someone who is coming from this outside perspective, obviously you didn't have these expectations for Maine either. But at this point, what are you seeing from them? If you had to give it your outside perspective, that's causing these issues that they're having now? Because Justin and I can speculate all day as fans, but we're going to still come at it from a slightly biased perspective. Do you think it's the fact that Maine maybe overachieved throughout the first course of the season and this is who they really are? Or do you think this is kind of like a mid-season slump that they're going through?
More like a late season slump.
Late season slump. That's a better way to put it.
I think it's a combination of a couple of different things. I think youth definitely plays a factor. I'm personally not an advocate, but I think that it plays a lot more of a factor with a young team in college sports than pro sports. I mean, because you look at these kids are still kids in their mind. I mean, they're legally adults, but I think
kids. I agree.
Yeah, it's part of that. And then also just part of, I mean, sometimes they just can't put the puck in the net. I mean, shit, we saw how bad it got against a team like Northeastern. They're not beating anybody of any type of relevancy playing like that. You have to be able to kill penalties off. They have the fourth worst penalty kill in the leagues. And you have to be able to, you don't want to give teams like BU, Boston, all those great teams opportunities, but when you do end up giving them an opportunity, you have to bail yourself out. I mean, and they haven't, and we've seen them this year. I mean, we've seen a few times they just go down early. I mean, I always think back to the Connecticut game. There's been times this year they've looked flat, and then earlier in the year, I think it was after like the first or second game, Casey came in. In here, one of the things he said was, "Yeah, they're flying, like they're hitting people," and it's just not it when you. Overachieving in the beginning of the season and underachieving towards the end of the season is the worst thing. But I mean, Maine is still in a position to where a tournament berth is theirs to lose. I mean, if they go 2-2 over these next two, because they're going to have UMass coming up, that final home series of the season, I say they make it. But if they lose, losing record, they have to.
They're not going to be in the tournament any better than the 14th seed.
They have to go 3-1 over the next 4 games. They have to.
If they lose even one game to Vermont, kiss it goodbye.
You think so? So you think so? Now, what if they lose one against Vermont and then they win one against Vermont and they end up winning one against Providence, losing one against Providence? So they're 2-2, but then, or not Providence, UMass. They end up getting another win over UMass.
2-2, even again 2-2. You're out of the top 10, absolutely.
Yes.
And you're hoping that UNH isn't going to jump you for 14th, because 15 and 16 are going to come from the ECAC and the Atlantic Conference champions.
Right, and they end up playing the top seed, like the number 1 team in the country. Yeah,
exactly.
So you have to stay over 14th to make it in. If you drop below 14th, you're not making it.
Because you said 15 and 16 are for the ECAC and Atlantic hockey, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Those are the automatic bids.
Oh, that's weird how they do it. So then it's like
when it comes to the pairwise rankings, if you are lower than 15th, you are on the lower than 14th, you are on the outside looking in. Regardless of where the ECAC and Atlantic teams are ranked, that makes absolutely no difference. The cutoff is the 14th seed.
Right, and then because there's 4 or 5 major conferences.
5.
So 5, and then you have 9 at large, and then one from the ECAC and one from the Atlantic, correct?
So you have the 5 conferences. You have the 5 conferences. You have the Big Ten. You have the ECHL. You have Hockey East. You have the CCHL, and then the Atlantic. So you have 5 automatic bids and 11 at-large bids.
Okay, but the winner of the Atlantic, they get one of the lower seeds, because that's one of the lower seeds of the conference.
Because they're so far below the top 15, they can't make it there. So their conference champions, regardless of how their tournament goes, is going to be the 15th and 16th teams respectively.
Yeah, I saw that.
In the pairwise, comparatively, whoever wins their conference championship. But going into the tournaments, if you are ranked lower than 14th in the pairwise, you're not making it in the tournament.
That's exactly right.
Where is that shit this year? St. Paul?
Frozen Four is in St. Paul. The regionals in Springfield, Providence.
Yep.
Yeah.
Denver, maybe? I think I saw that.
Denver's one of them, and I can't remember the fourth one, but anyway.
And so with that being said, that's why this weekend is super crucial to Maine, because they absolutely have to get a sweep this weekend.
They have to do like a 5-0 and 4-1 kind of weekend. They have
no
to,
doubt.
They have to blow Vermont off the ice.
Which is not easy, because it's not easy to win on the road in college hockey. It's just not an easy thing to do.
I mean, look at Hockey East in general. UMass Lowell was the worst team in the conference by record. And would you say, going into just looking at how they played against us in general, would you say that UMass Lowell was a crap team? Hell no.
No, absolutely not.
Oh, speaking of UMass Lowell, bro, their basketball team is good. Like, they're like number one in the AEC right now, or number 2. They're good.
Good for them.
I did not know that.
Maine's like the middle of the pack. They're like number 5, I think, in the AEC. But it seems like every time I turn it on, they're losing. I swear to God.
Yeah, me too. I check on them every now and again.
Yeah.
You guys had a good women's team. But no, I'm excited for the Hockey East tournament, and then also because I was watching some of who did New Hampshire? Oh, they played UMass the other day and went to overtime. I was watching the end of that arena, man. I know Justin, called them classless last week. You guys ate each other, but that's a pretty good environment for college hockey. I'm not gonna make you guys acknowledge that.
No, it is a good environment. Absolutely, it is.
It's a great environment, but
I love the lighting for some reason. I don't know what it is. I like the lighting.
The Whittemore Center and Schneider Arena for Providence are very similarly designed in terms of lighting.
Absolutely agree.
Alphon, it's right. I like Alphon because it's right on top of the action, right on top.
Yeah,
the balcony.
The Alphon. There's bias to the sound. I think it's the best college hockey environment, but
North Dakota has a beautiful, gorgeous arena.
That's beautiful.
North Dakota has a damn stadium specifically for hockey.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame them. What the hell else do they have to do in North Dakota?
Watch the fucking stoplight and shoot corner threes on 2K.
Corner 3!
Hey!
Before it was Trey Lance throwing dimes.
Yeah.
And Carson Wentz, shit.
True. Carson Wentz, the GOAT.
Man, that guy had it rough. I mean, if there's anywhere that you don't want somebody to take your job and win them the first ever Super Bowl, and then you got to come back and be the quarterback, it's Philly. Like they boo their own players, and they finally find a quarterback that wins them the Super Bowl, and you replace them. I don't care how much money you make, buddy. It's gonna be tough going into next year.
Yep.
Wow, I took that thing and went all the way left. But yeah, no, North Dakota, man. I knew a girl from South Dakota, and I'm like, how the fuck you even end up there? Like, I don't even. I mean, but then again, say the same thing about really anywhere. I mean, it's the dead middle of the fucking country, bro. I don't even know. Isn't that where Mount Rushmore is? I think that's South Dakota.
Yes, it is. That's South Dakota. Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, boys. What do you say we move to the question before we just start babbling on about nothing?
Works for me.
Works for me as well. So I've got the question this week. Well, I'll give one answer, and then we normally kind of spend a second and just elaborating, kind of going over different sports. But the one stipulation, this team has to have won the championship in their league. What is the most underappreciated team that's won a championship in any of the 4 major sports? And I guess if you want to include college, you can, but I know you guys aren't huge college. Just this pro sports.
Underappreciated?
I guess underrated, underappreciated. A team that was really amazing, but they just don't get talked about like some of the other teams do.
I'm thinking of one off the top of my head right now, and I don't know if that's the best one to go with right yet.
I know, I'm just kind of scared. I've been thinking about this shit all day, and I've just been like, because a lot of the great teams are pretty heavily celebrated.
Early 2000s or 2010s San Francisco Giants.
That's a really good answer. You know what was weird about the San Francisco Giants of the
they won 3 out of 4 and no one cared.
They won, what'd you say?
They won 3 out of 4 and no one really cared.
Yeah, they won like 6 out of 12 because they won on like 3 even.
Like I was just gonna say that they won on they always won on the even. Yeah, that's such a weird thing by them. They won on the even years every
10,
year for
12,
a while.
and 14.
And then the Red Sox were winning every 4 years.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's right. 04. Well, no, you guys won 04,
04, 07, 13, and 18.
But still,
Yeah, because it's still just kind of wild how that works out. But who you said the 2010 Giants, that team specifically, or just that team over that 6-year
over that time frame.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, that's a good one. Who was the fucking pitcher they had that did the
the beard dude.
Brian Wilson?
Brian Wilson. No, it's Brian Wilson.
I thought it was. Oh God, I thought it was.
He
Romo.
did
I can't remember his first name because Romo's the one that had that weird dance because he was the closer.
Romo was there towards the end of that run, but he wasn't there to begin with.
See, funny quick little story here. I remember after he threw the last pitch to win the World Series. This was like 2014, I believe.
Yep, against the Royals.
Against the Royals. I made it a post to Facebook, said, well, at least one Romo was clutch.
Hey, but after he did that strikeout too to win the World Series, he did the X, and it was on the road. All the fireworks started going off. He just World Series, bitch. What about you, Casey?
I'm battling, man. Like, there's one team that's sticking out right now, and I don't know if this is the best answer. So I'm gonna preface this by saying, for a lack of a better answer, I'm going with the 04 Detroit Pistons.
I was thinking that too myself.
I think the 04 Detroit Pistons is the last NBA team to win a championship without a superstar. And I think that's not talked about enough. They were fantastic defensively. I think they went to, Ian, correct me if I'm wrong, almost 6 or 7 straight Eastern Conference Finals in the early 2000s. They finally got over the hump in 04. Obviously, they lost to the Spurs in 05. But they beat a heavily talented Lakers team in 04 in 5 games.
But wasn't that the team that had Tayshaun Prince, Chauncey Billups, and Ben Wallace?
Yes, but you would consider any of them superstars by any stretch. They had Rip Hamilton too, and they were a very well constructed team. But no one on that team was a superstar.
No, I would go so far because I'm kind of tooting my own horn, as it were. But for football of recent memory, the original championship winning Patriots 2001 year, there was nobody that you really could have said this is a superstar on that team. You can make kind of a deal. I mean, Brady wasn't Brady at that point. Ty Law was kind of like their best player on the defense.
I'd go out on a limb and say Ty Law and Lawyer Malloy. For that early time frame of their positions, I think they were top notch.
But you wouldn't call them superstars at that point in time either.
Ty Law, maybe. Lawyer Malloy, no.
But that team, you wouldn't have you going up against the greatest show on turf when they were favored. They were expected to lose by 14 points.
Yeah, no, agreed. That's a great pick as far as NFL standards would go. Man,
NHL hockey, I'd go the 2007-2008 Ducks.
What about the 06 Hurricanes?
That's not a bad one either.
I thought the Hurricanes have one cup.
Huh?
I thought the Hurricanes have a cup.
They did.
Oh, well, you're just talking about
They do, buddy. We just said it.
No, I thought you said. Well, I know you said the Hurricanes, and I thought you said something about they couldn't come through. I think I might have just misunderstood or something.
You sure did, bub.
All right. Mine is, and I know you guys get mad at me for all my off-wall answers. Prepare to get upset again. I've got the 1982-83 Philadelphia 76ers. Now, I can't.
Nope. Can't use it. Nope.
No.
It has to be.
It
has to be a team you've seen, Ian.
I've seen them on YouTube.
You was not alive. YouTube don't count.
Gotta be a team you've seen, man.
I don't know. Talk about jerking each other off for a second, then, because that was my answer.
Because if it wasn't that case, right? I think almost everyone's answer would have been the replacement year Redskins.
Yeah.
I mean, not mine, fucking obviously. Okay, well, I did have a couple honorable mentions in mind, just in case you guys did flag that for some fuckery. I was really prepared to use that. You know what? And this is one that I was thinking earlier because I'm thinking of a couple of different
different sports. I mean, there really can't be any of the New York teams because they're
Nope.
always going to get all the pub. Hockey. I mean, the Blues, then they won a few years ago. That was an amazing run they had, but I mean, that's not really my answer. This one, I'm not sure if you guys will agree with this. It might spark some debate because of how much they brag about the championship. Do you have any
Don't
idea
say
what
the
team I'm
08
gonna?
Celtics.
The '08 Celtics. Do you have any idea how good the Lakers were that year? The Lakers were stacked. That team, what was it, a 46-game turnaround, beat the Kobe and Powell led Lakers team down in Game 6. I don't think when we talk about the great teams, we talk about the 95-96 Bulls. We still talk about the Warriors, even if we didn't win. We talk about the 85-86 Celtics. The 07-08 Celtics still won 60-plus games. I mean, granted,
They
they
were
had to go to
great.
seven. They had to go to 7 games with Cleveland, but I as much
Fuck,
as
they had to go to 7 games with Atlanta.
the reason that I kind of get irritated hearing about it is just like it's one championship. Like I'm sick of hearing, from the players. Like it meant a lot. I mean, you guys could probably speak more being from New England. It meant a lot to the city, but I mean, just bottom line, as far as just good, that team was great. Like,
And
great.
as a Celtics fan, I am so sick of Celtics fans and players that were on that team acting like they were the fucking Warriors dynasty for that one championship. It's infuriating.
That team was stacked to win 4 or 5, a la the Heat when they put LeBron and Wade and Bosh together.
Yes,
And they won
absolutely. And okay, another thing that's so aggravating.
They won 66 games.
Here's the thing that's super aggravating. And Celtics fans, I'm sorry to say this, and I love the Celtics, bro. They are just a couple ticks below the Cowboys in my love for sports teams. Just a couple ticks below. And you guys see that every time the Celtics are in the playoffs. I'm texting both you throughout the entire game that it's over from the time the tip-off happens.
And I keep telling you, Crow.
Regardless, I get emotional during Celtics playoff games, but that's not the point. What I'm saying is one thing that drives me up a wall, and I had to stand up to say that. I'm getting passionate when I say this shit. That's super infuriating is when Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett are like, oh, haha, we made LeBron run to Miami. Nah, fam.
Nope.
LeBron made y'all team up to beat him.
Yep.
LeBron in 07-08 was a better player than KG or Paul Pierce ever were in their careers. And I love them both. They're both Hall of Famers. But Ian, you said it earlier in this show. There's levels to this. They ain't LeBron James, and they never were. Yes. Did LeBron leave to Miami because he couldn't get past Boston? Yes. But why couldn't he get past Boston? Because he put 3 Hall of Fame players either in their prime or a tick off their prime.
And Rondo coming into his own, too.
Absolutely.
And Kendrick Perkins.
So let's not be like, oh, haha, we made LeBron run to Miami. No, you didn't.
No.
Quick rundown of like just the different sports. As far as football, I would have to say because the Giants get a lot of play. Like I said, can't be none of the New York teams. I think the Broncos with Von Miller were too recent. I'm just kind of going through a few here. I mean, a lot of the teams that have won the Super Bowl.
What does too recent have to do
the
with
first
anything?
Broncos championship against, maybe it was the second one against the Atlanta Falcons that year. That was probably a good one.
Wait, the Broncos of 99?
I believe so.
Yeah, okay, that's a fair one. That's a good one.
Because, I mean, Elway was going to retire. Everyone knew it.
If we're going to go with like a semi-recent football one, like this ain't really semi-recent anymore. I mean, the 99 Rams, Trent Green goes down in the preseason. You have a quarterback that was playing arena football and stocking shelves.
That one doesn't get talked about. We always get talked about losing to the Patriots. That game never really gets talked about. The tackle gets talked about sometimes on the 1-yard line, but that team never really. We always hear about how great because they were dominant the year they lost to the Patriots, but we never hear about the first team. That's a good observation.
Does anybody know the name of the linebacker that made the tackle against Kevin Dyson?
Mike Jones.
Who?
Mike Jones.
Mr. Blackwell coming through in the clutch. I love it.
One more honorable mention for me was probably the 2002 Baltimore Ravens. Trent Dilfer.
2000 Baltimore Ravens.
I feel like they get talked about a lot because of how great that defense was. Though.
Yeah, for what it was 2000, not 2002. 2002 was Tampa Bay.
Thank you.
But yeah. No, I agree with
that.
I agree with you that on Ian. That because that defense is arguably the best defense of all time.
I mean, they made a 30 for 30, so it's like for me, it's kind of hard to say they're under. What I kind of do understand what Justin's saying. I feel like they are underappreciated for how great they allowed 7 points in the Super Bowl. Like
Ian, I'm very shocked you didn't say the 2022 Rams because it's almost like that Super Bowl's been forgotten.
Well, no,
it kind of was.
No, not really. I mean,
people talk about the halftime show still.
Yeah,
and that
was the best part of it, to be honest.
You know that I think that Super Bowl is greatly overlooked.
I mean, you think about what we had to do to get there. We had to go on the road to Tampa, play the Niners in our building, and we were losing damn near the whole game, if I remember correctly. And then going to the Super Bowl. That team that year, it's just they made all the right. Well, for me, that one too, it's so recent to where I don't really know how history is going to treat it. Whereas, I mean, I already know that nobody talks about the Steelers really winning. I mean, even though as popular as the Steelers are, nobody really talks about the one in 06. Like we hear more about the ones with the Santonio Holmes catch, but we never really hear about it.
No one talks about that because it's the worst officiated game.
Oh, that shit was terrible.
That
was
awful.
absolutely terrible.
The Seahawks got robbed, and everybody knows it.
And Willie Parker did help, but yeah, they got robbed. What was in the first quarter? I think it was supposed to be. I think he was down, or he was clearly. I forgot what it was, and they called it
the Ben Roethlisberger. It's in the second quarter. That touchdown run. Yeah. Clearly did not cross the goal line, but.
Yeah, Jerome. I mean, and the thing is, thinking about it now, Jerome Bettis, all-time great, back. What was the thing about the NFL just riding his nuts that year? The bus is going back to Detroit. I mean, you guys were a little older.
It's because it was his last season.
Well, no, but you guys were older than me. Like, was he? I mean, I know who he was. He's a household name, but was he like really that big of a star?
Not to me.
No. I mean, he was something you had to always account for, but he wasn't like. Oh, look out for Jerome Bettis. Like you have to look out for LaDainian Tomlinson or others like him.
Sean Alexander or fucking he wasn't that.
I don't think Sean Alexander.
He was, don't get me wrong, he was very good. He's a Hall of Famer, I believe.
Yes.
But I don't put him in that top tier upper echelon back. Like he's not Adrian Peterson.
He didn't strike fear in you.
No. Like, if you're going against prime Adrian Peterson, that shit struck fear.
Bo Jackson, fear.
Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith. He wasn't those guys.
Barry is the best running back I've
I'd
ever
even
seen.
argue that Corey Dillon was better than Jerome Bettis at times.
No.
Not even at Cincinnati?
No.
Okay. Agree to disagree.
I wouldn't. I mean, I think you could make... Justin, what you just said proved my point, though, because I had to stop and think about it. And it's not like Corey Dillon was anything special.
No, he wasn't. But
so even with that, even where I would take Bettis over Dillon, that still proves the point. Because if I were to say, hey, do you want prime Corey Dillon or do you want prime Adrian Peterson? Is it even a question?
No.
I see what you're saying. The fact that you even have to ask that question is like... Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know, man. Because I could get it if it's like, Tom Brady last game is gonna be in the Bay Area. Let's go follow his. I mean, but it was Jerome Bettis. I mean, hell, at that time I could understand, following around fucking who was like coming in the twilight. I mean, I don't know. It was just really weird to me. That was just a weird year. That was an ugly Super Bowl at Ford Field of all places. Like, yuck. I don't think it's a bad looking field. It's just not a Super Bowl.
No, it's not. It was a brand new stadium at the time almost. So I get it. Sure. I get it. And it's just unfortunate the way the game unfolded because Seattle should have won.
Oh, they were good that year too. Like they were really good. They beat Carolina, I think, to get there, if I'm not mistaken.
But to be fair, Seattle shouldn't even been there. Seattle should have been out the first round.
Against who?
Against the Cowboys.
Oh, the Cowboys when Romo dropped. And then who they play in the second?
Green Bay.
Green Bay. No, not Green Bay.
Was it the Green Bay?
No. We both said Green Bay because we're thinking of we want the ball and we're gonna score. But Matt Hasselbeck threw a pick 6 to Al Harris. So it wasn't Green Bay.
Let me see because this is gonna bug the shit out of me going to bed.
Me too.
Okay, so it looks like the division. Well, first, oh shit, they had a bye in the wild card. They were good that year. They finished 13-3. On the divisional, they beat the Redskins at home 20-10, and then they beat the Panthers at home 34-14, and then lost to the Steelers in the Super Bowl.
Okay, so the Dallas year was the following year.
Okay.
Yeah, so that must have also been the year after the Rams beat them in the wild card game because we were in Seattle and we beat them.
Yep.
Man.
Those were the days, man.
That was a good question, Ian. That was a really good question.
I got the question for next week, so stay tuned.
I got the question for next week.
Okay, fine. I'll go this rotation thing that we're doing.
Why don't we just flip a coin, or you guys can play Madden?
Oh no, I got a good one for next week.
All
Y'all gotta be ready. I got a really good one for next week.
All right, sounds good, guys.
But with that being said, boys, it's been a great show. Justin, if they're going to Canada, buddy, what they need to do?
Don't forget to bring a towel.
Have a good rest of your night, everybody. Stay safe out there. Mixed Reactions signing off. Till next time, when you can catch us on the casting couch, and for Tally, we still don't know how to close the show. Good night.